Hello, how you doing?
Colleen.
Let's see. What do we got? Hey, Mom, would you close that curtain? Hey, Sherry.
Hello. Hi, Dan.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey.
Found my way in.
All right, there you go.
Hi, everyone. I don't know who I haven't said hello to.
Hey, Colleen.
How you doing?
Hi, Colleen, I believe,
Nancy's not on yet, I don't think.
yeah, she will not be joining this meeting, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think this is all of council. Only the mayor and council should be unmuted right now. All the other participants, please remain on mute until we open the floor for public comment. And when we do so, you can raise an electronic hand. Electronic hand can be found under the participants tab or under the reactions tab, depending on the version that you're using. You can also raise a physical hand like this, and we can call on you. And if you're on a regular telephone, you can *6 and announce yourself that you'd like to be heard. So Colleen, I'm going to continue to let folks in if you'd like to call the meeting to order.
Sure. I'd like to call this agenda meeting to order at looks like 4 p.m. on Thursday, March 25th, 2021. And today the flag salute will be led by Mrs. Baumiller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Allen.
Here.
Mrs. Baumiller.
Here.
Dr. Davis. Mrs. Rutherford.
Here.
Mayor Lambert.
Here.
I have several minutes for approval. Without formal reading, I'm presenting the February 8th regular meeting minutes, February 25th agenda meeting, a February 25th executive session, a March 9th regular meeting, and a March 12th special budget meeting.
Has everybody had a chance to look those over?
Yeah, Sherry, I can't, I wasn't at this special budget meeting, so you're gonna have to do two roll calls for that.
Okay, no problem. So on the first one for the February 8th through March 9th, excluding the special budget meeting, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
How are we going to do this? We'll just do Mrs. Baumiller. You can just abstain.
Abstain.
Ms. Rutherford?
Yes.
Mayor Lambert?
Yes.
For the minutes of March 12th, 2021, the special budget meeting, do we have a motion to approve those?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
So I got Colleen as my first, Dan Allen as my second. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Baumiller?
So this is the meeting that I'm abstaining on, not the other one.
Oh, okay.
You're backwards. Yeah, I was like, I apologize.
That's okay, got it. So go ahead and do that.
I abstain.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Okay, we have several ordinances for introduction today. Ordinance 2021-4C, an ordinance amending Chapter 13, First Aid Squad of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. The purpose of this ordinance is to more specifically define its requirements for membership to the Beach Haven First Aid Squad, including the background and motor vehicle checks. After speaking with Mike Avalone, the Vice President of Risk Management, he informed us also that the Mel GIF and the Ocean GIF is requiring background checks and motor vehicle checks tied very strongly to the sexual abuse of minors legislation, and is essentially a matter of compliance with the law. And under the law, if you fail to carry out a full background check, you can be held personally liable, including for punitive damages, which are not covered by insurance. And I just believe that it's our responsibility to protect the residents, the visitors, the volunteers that work for us, and our employees. So we're going to comply with the law. First reading.
Okay, any questions about 2021-04C?
No.
No?
No.
Everybody all right? Okay, do we need to make a motion here, Sherry?
Yes,
Okay, make a motion to approve. Anybody?
Motion to approve.
There's a second?
Second.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-5C, an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Fire Company of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. The purpose to more specifically define its requirements for membership to the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company, including background and motor vehicle checks. First reading.
All right, any questions about this one? Everybody get a chance? It's basically the same as the first one.
They
And
are
that's what I was
identical.
gonna ask. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Um,
I have no questions.
No questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve 2021-5C?
Motion to approve.
Thanks, Chris.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-6C, an ordinance amending Chapter 145, Pickleball Courts Municipal of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. The purpose of this ordinance is to limit the hours of play, the number of players, and the fees for passes at the Nelson Avenue Pickleball Courts. First reading.
We did have a request to unlock this one or to open it up. Sherry, would you be able to do that? Show the wording on the screen? Not coming up.
Spinning.
Okay.
All right, can you see, click off of there. There, can you see what we have there?
I'm not seeing anything.
Just see the agenda, Sherry.
Let's try that again.
There you go.
Got it in front of you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So
so
you might
can-
want to click enable editing though, so that you can see the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just the title. I don't know if I'll do that because it's going to tell me I have to reactivate my subscription.
Oh, yeah.
I-
Mm.
So the top is the title you can see there for 6C, 145. And here you can see the amendment to the ordinance. Things that are cross-hatched are removed, which in this case is none. And the underscore are things that are added. So what we're adding is item B, that from Memorial Day to Labor Day, use of the facility for pickleball play is limited to 8 a.m. to noon, then from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. daily, and that from Memorial Day and Labor Day, the courts will be closed from noon to 4 daily. C would be a maximum occupancy at the courts shall be 50 players. And D, that court reservations are required. Loitering for more than 15 minutes before and after scheduled court time is prohibited. Only individuals with reservations or borough employees are permitted at the facility. And then down below, you'll see the increases to the fees from the daily pass from 3 to 5, a weekly pass from 10 to 20, and the week season pass from 50 to 80. And I do have Jonathan Brinkmiller on the call if you wanted to discuss these changes with him. It's up to you, Colleen.
Yeah, I mean, I have spoken with Jonathan or corresponded with Jonathan. I was a little concerned with the number 50. I mean, he explained it, but I was thinking that if the courts can hold 24, 48, and then 50, I didn't know if that he explained it to me. Didn't know if anybody else was questioning that. And I also had one from the public about locking a public facility, a public park. I mean, is that okay to do, legal to do?
Yes,
Yeah, there's nothing unlawful about that.
Okay.
that was
Thank-
Bruce that chimed in.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Can you explain where the 50 came from, the maximum number, Colleen? You said that you
I'll
spoke.
let you, yeah, because that was one of the questions I had too.
Jonathan, if you're on the call, you can unmute yourself and speak to this.
Hello, council. So the 50 comes from last season. Due to COVID, we were told to max out at 48, and we were able to handle the 48. It was a good pace for players waiting to playing, and the 50, which is just 2 additional, is just to prevent any family separations between the 8 a.m. slot and the 10 a.m. slot in the morning.
So
Want to explain that a little more?
that's 24 people on the courts and 24 people off the courts. And the way that it always was explained to me is that a lot of the frustration was the waiting to play on the court. So I would think that if you have 12 people playing, 24 people playing and then 12 people off, that would kind of ease that frustration of the, anticipation to play. I guess I just am unfamiliar with 24 people waiting around and 24 people playing. It just doesn't seem like that would be harmonious down at that area.
Yeah, I understand the numbers don't add up to be optimal, I would say. But from my experience, 48 has run the smoothest. There were days where we had 36 people maybe, and those were extremely slow. Us employees, we were not doing much just because there was not as many people. It didn't flow as easily. The less players you have, the more of a chance that players almost form groups of 4. And if you do have a couple stragglers or a couple non-groups of 4, those players don't have anyone to play with. So the 48 it doesn't add up mathematically, but from experience, that is what I recommend for pickleball. And the 50, as I've said, is just in case for not splitting up families.
So, I mean, what if you have, let's say, someone that buys a daily pass and they put into this 48 people playing and they don't get as much time? Is that a scenario what we're going to hear complaints about? Or I bought a weekly pass and, I played 3 days and I didn't get to play a lot. There's so many people waiting. If I was, had less amount of people, I would have been playing more. Are these a type of complaints that happen, or am I just overstepping there?
Mathematically, yes, you would get more games in if there are less people. But last season, I believe in the 2-hour time block, people averaged 5 to 6, and on a good day, maybe 7 to 8 games in those 2-hour time blocks, where that's more than enough for the average player. Most people play 4 or 5 games and they call it quits.
So what do you run around and get everybody situated and on the whiteboard and pretty much kind of put everybody on there? And it seems like you're like the auctioning off the courts. Is that your role? It seems like very stressful.
It gets a little stressful, but with the 48, I found there might be a time where, let's say, 3 courts come off at the same time. That's really stressful. But other than that, with the number of people there, I can just call names out and say, this group is on deck, be ready. If you see a court coming off, then please go on. And it flows very nicely.
I think maybe what we're missing is that each game lasts about 9 minutes, 9 to 11 minutes, and they reserve an hour block. So as each game ends, all of the folks that are there are rotating from court to court and playing multiple games. So he's got a good rotation of about 48 people playing on the 6 courts for the full hour. But they play
It's
multiple
2
games.
hours.
Each 2 hours, I'm sorry. Each game is only 9 minutes. So he can handle 48 to 50 players because it's a constant round robin type of play.
Yeah, I have a question with the round robin. Like, what if you come with your own group and you want to play as a group and not be part of the round robin?
So let's say we have little boxes on the whiteboard, and let's say there are 3 people in a box and a group of 4 wants to play together. We put that group of 4 in the next open box, and the next person that comes off a court, we ask if they want to go be the 4th, and they can join. We make it as fair as possible. Like, if people put their name up on the board, it's on the board. Groups of 4, we tell them, like, hey, you want to be a group of 4, there are 2 people already in the next box. 2 people can join, or you can wait. We add that in, and they know putting their name up, they're going to have to wait an extra game because of that.
Okay, but they do have the ability to play as their own group, right? Thank you.
Correct.
Okay, the other thing that I had asked Jonathan about, and I just wanted to clarify for everybody, was we had gotten a letter from a pickleball regular about their concern over clinics and lessons being given during the prime time when most of the people are there. And Jonathan said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, that this is not the case, that you do not do that, because to me, that would be a big concern. We shouldn't be taking up valuable court time for, private lessons. That should be done at a convenient time when there are less people using the courts. And that's correct?
That is correct. Generally, we, especially when it gets hot out during the summer, the courts kind of open up around 11:30 when it gets very hot out, and then we might start a lesson then if people are there and ready. But other than that, we start our lessons at 12 12 o'clock noon,
Okay.
after the courts are completely open. And if there's a game going on all 6 courts, we wait until the game's off, and then we go onto the court, and people know that we do our lessons at that time. I'm not sure if it's on the borough website or not, but I think somewhere we have said that we do lessons at 12 o'clock when the courts are open.
Of course, that'll change now if we do the new hours, but okay, but
Yeah, I
thank
was just gonna say that. Yeah.
So, okay, that's all I had. Like I said, Jonathan, thank you for corresponding with me and clearing up my questions earlier.
Of course.
Any-
And I just had a question about how are we, the loitering for more than 15 minutes, how are we enforcing that? Is that going to be Jonathan's job to have to do, or what's going to happen there?
I think Jonathan will know that everyone that has registered is there to play. And if, more people start showing up, he'll know that, well, you're not scheduled till the next session, so come back at such and such a time.
Are
Okay.
people able to watch? Like, let's say we don't have any COVID restrictions. Are people able to just spectate? That's one concern I have about the loitering.
We were trying to limit that. We don't want the facility to be overcrowded and that party type of atmosphere that it had a few years ago. So no, only those that are registered to play and the municipal employees can be at the site, and maximum of 50.
Okay, thank you.
I would just recommend that either on the website or when we create the sign up software, that we have these posted, and maybe even an explanation that this is a round robin type of play where there's 24 people at max playing at a time. So, you might not be playing, so that people understand, maybe if they're coming from out of town, that even if they sign up, they might not be the first one on the courts. And that would maybe alleviate some of the frustration of people there and not playing when other people are playing first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything else on this subject? Okay, if there are no other questions or concerns on 2021 Stick C, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-7C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 199, Vehicles and Traffic, Part 1, Regulations, Article 10, Schedules, of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. The purpose of this ordinance is to better control the flow of traffic and parking within the Borough of Beach Haven. First reading.
I know there were a lot of questions, Sherry. Maybe we should put this one up too. Let them see, because I know there were a lot of questions about the parking down in the public dock area.
Let me know if you can see it, guys.
Not yet.
There you go.
There it is.
Got it
Okay.
now?
Yes.
Okay, so you're seeing 3 changes here. The first changes number 25, section 25 for no parking. And we are prohibiting parking on the south side of Dock Road from the intersection with West Avenue, 100 feet in the westerly direction. And then leaving the remainder of that curb area all the way to where it meets the public parking area, open and free for parallel parking.
So essentially, we took away 5 parking and we added 5, so it was a net exchange. So there's no loss of parking there.
Yes, the chief just felt that that area from the intersection at West Avenue in the westerly direction was a very narrow area. And if we're going to be making it more pedestrian safe, that we would move that parking to the west.
And the other 2 changes have to do with the area in front of the post office. It came to our attention from the postal employees that we needed a handicap accessible space much closer to the building than what had been provided. And then also we're putting in 2 15-minute spaces. So we can't mandate that they're for the post office, but I think most people would use them for that purpose. That's our hope.
And
And
I
that,
just wanted to make one verbal change here for the angled handicap under section 48. It says 2 spaces here, but really it's going to be 1 space with a loading zone. It's going to take 2 of our normal angled spaces to create it, but it's actually going to be 1 space with a proper loading zone.
thank
Like
you.
for someone with a wheelchair coming in and out of their car.
You
Okay,
got it.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the new standard for handicap
Yeah.
parking spaces.
okay.
Are there any other questions about this? No? Okay, if everyone has reviewed 2021 7C, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second? I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes,
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-8C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 204 Water of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to more clearly define when an emergency service charge will be assessed. First reading.
Any questions about this one? Pretty cut and dry, but
Mhm.
no?
no,
No? If there are no questions, then would somebody like to make a motion to approve 2021 8C?
Sure.
motion to approve.
Oh, I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes,
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-9C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 212 zoning of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey. The purpose of this ordinance is to more clearly define porches and the permitted modifications and exceptions. First reading.
Okay. We have discussed this one a little bit before. Are there any questions or concerns about 2021 9C? No? Seeing there are no questions, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Jamie.
not
Mr.
to,
Allen,
no one wants to approve anything today.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes,
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
And finally, 2021-10, calendar year 2021 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-45.14 to allow the borough to increase over the previous year's final appropriations, subject to certain exceptions, and to establish a bank. First reading.
Okay, we all had a chance to do this. I did, and I spoke with Shari, and she was very helpful. I don't have any questions. I guess it's a pretty standard procedure. Anybody have a question or concern? No? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve 2021-10?
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Is there a second? I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
yes,
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 83 is permitting sidewalk sales. Resolution 85 is amending Resolution 62 and adopting the resolution approving an updated certified list of eligibles for the 2020 Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company LoSAP contributions. 86 is awarding a contract to WAPRO Inc. for the 2021 purchase and delivery of WAPRO tide valves or the equivalent. 87 is executing a shared service agreement with Ocean County for fire inspection services. 88 is allowing the budget to be read by title only. 89 is awarding a contract to Earl Asphalt for the 2019 road reconstruction improvement project, 9th Street, Delaware Avenue and Seagull Lane, and Borough Utility Replacement Project. 90 is executing a license and indemnification agreement with the Ship Bottom Brewery. 91 is the governing body certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records in employment decisions under Title VII of Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Okay, I know I had a question about 91 and I asked Sherry, and that basically it's something new this year and it must be submitted with the budget. And that's not an option, I guess, it's something we have to do.
Yeah.
I also had a question about Bottom Brewery. That is for a 1-year license. And the sidewalk sales, the permitted sidewalk sales, it looks like there are 25 of those.
Yes, and the Ship Bottom Brewery is going to be installing just a clamshell base. So we're really going to be just repeating what we did last year for the outdoor dining due to COVID.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Everybody had a chance to review this? Anything you'd like to remove or question or anything? No?
No, everything's answered for me too.
Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the resolutions within the consent agenda?
Motion to
Motion
approve.
to approve.
Thank you, Dan. Chris, I'll put you down as my second.
Thanks.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Okay.
The introduction of the 2020.
Yeah, at this point, I think we'll hand it over to Sherry Bowler. She's going to go over just a brief synopsis of the budget highlights, and then I will go through the budget resolution for you.
Okay, the 2021 budget, the total appropriations, including the reserve for uncollected taxes, is $13,299,608.82. This is an increase of $128,915.50 from 2020, which equates to just under 1% overall. It's 0.98% increase. The changes from 2020 are broken out between salary and wage and operating expenses. The salary and wage had an increase of $231,871, which was a 5% increase from 2020. And the operating expenses actually had a reduction of $102,955.50, which is a decrease of 1.21%. Basically, the biggest changes in our operating expenses, our reduction was in our debt service. We had $225,000 less than last year from interest on our bond anticipation notes and the required appropriation for our CDL loan, our community disaster loan. That was a loan given to us from the state after Sandy, And we are still hoping that that will be forgiven, but we are required to put in 1/5 of the total loan value. If they do not forgive it, it'll be fully due back by 2023. So this is our year 4 of 5 of that appropriation. Our library appropriation had an increase of $47,187.49. The total library appropriation is $815,952.71, and this is mandated by the state. The state requires us and tells us what amount we put in the budget. We fully offset that appropriation on the revenue side with our library tax levy. And we had an increase in pensions. Our pension went up 12.19%. And that again is something required by the state that we don't have control over. So overall, the operating expenses had a nice reduction, considering. Our revenues, this year we are anticipating, we're using surplus in the amount of $3,095,364.95, which is an increase over last year of $3,636. Ooh, what happened to my, hold on. Sorry, I lost. To offset last year, the increase that we had for the CDL loan, we used a one-time revenue in 2020 budget, 180,000 reserved for payment of debt. So we removed that from the budget this year, which offset the decrease that we had for the debt service appropriation. Like I stated, the library tax levy also in the budget is $815,952.71. And then our local tax for municipal purposes is $8,170,076.34, which is an increase of $288,235.72 over last year. We have a 1 cent increase on the tax levy this year. Our tax rate will be going from 0.373 to 0.383. And that is about it. The water utility budget, the total budget is $1,857,500, which is no change from 2020.
Thank you, Sherry. Any questions from council before we proceed?
No.
Okay, the municipal budget of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean for the fiscal year 2021. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenue and appropriation shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2021. Be it further resolved that the budget be published in the Beach Haven Times in the issue of April 1st, 2021. And the governing body of the Borough of Beach Haven do hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2021. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert. Colleen, I didn't get you, yes?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the council members of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean on March 25th, 2021. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held via Zoom. Meeting ID 891-9582-9718 on April 29th, 2021 at 4:00 p.m. At which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2021 may be presented by taxpayers and other interested persons. Thank you, Shari.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a bill listed today in the amount of $143,173.48.
Get a chance to look over the bills?
Yes.
Okay. If there are no questions or anything else of that nature, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the bills?
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Rutherford,
yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
We just had one item for general discussion for the proposed restriping of the ocean top of Taylor Avenue. I'll hand it over to you ladies, Ms. Rutherford or Ms. Ball Miller.
I can speak on this. Sherry, do you want to show the picture or do you want me to just talk about it?
Let me get it.
So Sherry's bringing that up. We have a committee that Councilwoman Rutherford and I are on, and it's called the Council Neighborhood Committee. And we spoke about this last meeting, and it's a group of residents, police, and council members, obviously. And what we are doing is taking different problems in the community and creating solutions to them. So one of the concerns that a lot of residents have had over the past 2 years since I've been on council is the considerable amount of traffic in the area between Atlantic Avenue and the beach entrance on Taylor Avenue. So again, this is from Atlantic Avenue to the beach entrance on Taylor Avenue. So what happened a few years ago is that the parking went from a single lane in the center to 44 spaces, that diagonal parking. And what this did was created a really unsafe area between the back of the cars and the residential area. And the residents were sending us pictures and videos. And we talked with police, we talked with the beach patrol, and they also agreed that this area really needs a lot more room. So what we were suggesting is to actually decrease the parking in that area and supply on each side, the north and south side of Taylor Avenue, with a striping for pedestrians to walk, because there's no sidewalks in that area because none of the houses have been torn down and rebuilt, and then the sidewalk would have to have been put in. So to alleviate that traffic in that area of pedestrians and try to put them more in a safer area, that's what we're suggesting, is to reduce the parking spaces by 18. And again, since there is no sidewalk there, we would like to add a 6-foot pedestrian painted walkway, pretty much similar to the bike lanes that you would see on Beach and Atlantic. And this would create just a larger area and a safer area, especially when you have multiple vehicles at the beach entrance, especially in the case of an emergency. We felt that this was the safest way to really increasing pedestrian safety in that area. I know it does eliminate some parking spaces, but we have discussed this many times and in 2 meetings, and we feel that this would be the best solution moving forward for that area, specifically since it's surrounded by houses on both sides.
Mhm.
Jamie, have you gotten a cost estimate for this from Frank?
I have not.
Okay.
Police are behind this idea? They sponsor this?
Yes, Officer Meadow, and also there was another Officer McCafferty was also a member of the committee, as well as Megan Morrow, Chief Morrow, and they both the beach patrol and the police department agreed that this would be a safer area if the parking was
Changed.
decreased and we had the pedestrian area.
Yeah.
And the captain is on the call today as well.
If you look at the picture, you can see that, it gives a lot more room. And what was happening, cars were, reversing into people, and there's nowhere to, put pedestrians, and, just those painted areas. When you're walking your kids up to the beach, you can say, okay, like you usually say, get on the sidewalk, but you can say like, move over to that area, and hopefully creating a better flow in that small area.
Mhm.
The police feel the loss of parking is not going to impact traffic in that area? I mean, it's,
No, we discussed that, and a lot of the things that we have noticed, Jan, is that the people that are driving to the beach are the people that live on the bay side. I've noticed that on my street. And so, yes, we are losing these 18 parking spaces, but we feel that this area this has been 2 years with the pictures and the videos and, the residents sending letters, that we feel that this would be a safer solution. I think Officer Captain Meadow has a comment.
Got his hand raised.
yeah, please.
Captain?
Hopefully, can you hear me? Yes, okay. I don't really care for the idea of losing spaces, although for pedestrian safety, if it must be, it must be. Painted lines do not a barrier make. It would be much better if we would be able to put sidewalks up there. Sidewalks would serve a much better purpose. This way people would be inclined to walk on them. Trying to get people to stay out of the streets is almost impossible as it is. And I was unfortunately late to the meeting when you guys first discussed this, and I was not able to raise my view. Just wanted to clarify that.
It might be a good starting point though, right, Tom? I mean, if they do this year and maybe budget for next year to do the installation, that's a possibility.
I think you're just going in circles here. Because both council and the mayor were at several land use board meetings saying that we don't have parking spaces, and for us to lose 20 some odd parking spaces or 18 parking spaces, as you just said, kind of defeats the purpose.
I understand that. What I explained at the meeting and last time too, at the professional development that I was at a few weeks ago for the land use board, there was a forensic litigator that looks at the previous cases, and what he found was that 25% were due to pedestrians being hit by cars. So he said that the trend now for municipalities was actually increasing pedestrian safety and not creating more parking spaces because of Uber and all of the other things that are moving people around. So that was the trend that they were going with that professional development. So
I agree, pedestrian safety is paramount. You'll never hear me argue against that. I really think that sidewalks is a much better avenue to pursue than just a painted line on the road. We see people all the time crossing lines, driving on shoulders, driving in the bike lane. I just think the sidewalk would be a much better avenue for them to pursue. But I mean, if that's what we need to do, then that's what we need to do. If we need to remove some parking spaces to make pedestrians safer, then you'll have my blessing on that one. Always, I'm never going to say no, put pedestrians at risk. I agree with that.
I think the sidewalks, you might have a problem with that with the homeowners with curb cuts, getting them to agree, because it's a
Getting them to pay for it, you won't have. Curb cuts, that's all public right away.
right, but they're going to get, if they don't get what they want, they'll be upset about it. Sidewalks are always tough in this town. I mean, I used to sit with you on land, and it was always.
Oh yeah, I understand.
It could be, but it would impact how they, enter and exit their own property too. So they might take exception. Maybe we could work with them, but then, the other side, that starts a slippery slope of, us installing sidewalks instead of, the way things are set up to do at this time. So but I agree with you. I mean, I drove behind somebody today on Beach Ave that was in the bike lane from Center Street all the way down to, Ocean Ave. So lines just don't do it,
And people seeing the lines, I don't know if you can put a flashing, sign that says, please walk here. And maybe you might get them to do that, but
Well, it's in the daytime, and if you have the cars in the middle and the people are walking up, they tend to walk away from the cars as the traffic's moving. There's always cars moving in that area all the time. So if you have pedestrians there as well, they're more likely to kind of go, they're not going to be walking in the middle when the cars are coming at the same time. So it's just the way to get them to move away from the traffic.
it is a very commonsensical approach, and I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, and this, again, like I've said, is just a solution to a problem that we've been hearing for the past 2 years, from the people that live on Taylor, and they've, witnessed this. I'm sure you also have been a witness to this as well, Captain Metal. So this is just one solution that, we were looking at.
So we need to
It's
hear,
understood. I'm
we
sorry.
need to hear from the other members of council if they would support us in pursuing this plan.
I would. I think it's funny because I remember when it was single, and then I think one of the residents down there said, hey, we could have really increased parking. And then when they got what they wanted, they realized maybe better be careful what you wish for, because I went over and measured it myself. It is very, very tight. I understand the concept of putting the lines down for the pedestrians. I got to tell you, I mean, we have sidewalks on our block. Nobody likes to walk on them. They've got their kayaks, their surfboards, their beach wheels and everything else. They're all in the middle of the street. I don't know how we're going to avoid that, truthfully, but I am okay basically with what's trying to be accomplished here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm on board with it too. I mean, I also remember when it was single lane, and even seeing the picture now, it just makes sense because it's smaller. I mean, we have that type of parking, the other style up on Center Street, and I believe Ingleside Avenue, but there's also a lot more room. There's sidewalks there, and it's much more manageable situation. The other thing that I could possibly do for the pedestrian right away is paint them solid. Paint them. That'll keep cars out of them. Paint them blue, green, whatever, like we're doing with the bike lanes. That way, it's the next best thing to actually putting in a sidewalk. Be my recommendation.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm for going back to the single lane to try to keep things safe, but I mean, Captain Metal's right. People are going to walk and do whatever they want. But if it's going to help to try to provide patient safety, public safety, then I think that it's something that we may need to look into. And because of where the area is, because it is a residential area, not like Center Street, I'd like to see this move forward. So yeah, I know we're losing 18 parking spaces, but.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Colleen, we are good for regular business.
Public comment, right?
Yep.
Okay. You already heard, I think, unless you came in late, public comment will be open. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes, and you can raise your electronic hand or wave or do whatever you can to get Sherry's attention.
Thank you. Deb Whitcraft. State your name and address for the record. Deb, can you unmute?
Yes. All right. Does that work?
There you go. State your name and address for the record.
All right. Deb Whitcraft at 528 Dock Road, Beach Haven. This letter that I'm going to read is addressed to the Beach Haven Borough Council in reference to Ordinance 2021-04C. For 82 years, the Beach Haven First Aid Squad has served not only the borough of Beach Haven, but also the township of Long Beach and the borough of Ship Bottom. We answer on average 1,200 calls per year, which has increased significantly in these times of COVID-19. We do this on a totally volunteer basis and at no cost to the people to whom we respond. We are totally autonomous and own all of our property. Headquarters in Ship Bottom and Beach Haven, our ambulances and medical equipment. Other than the annual stipend given to us from the 3 municipalities, we have never asked any of these governmental agencies for any additional funding. The integrity of our membership is of utmost importance to us, not only for those we serve, but also for those with whom we serve. We therefore have a system of criminal history and motor vehicle background checks in place through our insurance company. In January of 2019, we switched from the Ocean County Joint Insurance Fund to McNeil Insurance. Motor vehicle records and criminal history background checks were part of the package at a nominal cost through a third-party company, JDP, with a turnaround time of 24 to 28 hours. As a result of this, we can process our membership applications in a more timely fashion than waiting a month or more for results. Our members are thoroughly vetted and held to the highest standards. The Township of Long Beach and the Borough of Ship Bottom are completely satisfied with our system and have no ordinances on the books directing us how to operate. Imagine our dismay when we were informed of pending Ordinance 2021-04C, which would effectively take away our authority to govern our membership and place it in the hands of the Borough of Beach Haven. This new ordinance would not only put an additional financial burden on our squad, but the additional layers of agencies involved would create a significant delay in getting new qualified members on the road to be able to better assist in serving our community. We find this lack of confidence to be most distressing, particularly as there have not been any incidents to warrant this. We held an emergency meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Beach Haven First Aid Squad on March 22nd at our Ship Bottom headquarters, and we voted unanimously to object to this ordinance. We're well aware that the borough has looked into the option of hiring a paid service to replace us as the EMS provider for the borough. We certainly have no desire to see this occur and hope to continue our long-standing record of timely service to the residents and visitors of Beach Haven. However, if this ordinance is enacted, we will be forced to consider our options. In closing, we must ask you to consider how the citizens of Beach Haven would feel about not only being charged for the service that we now provide to them at no cost, but to be cared for by people that they do not know, as opposed to being served by members of their own island community. And this is respectfully submitted by the Board of Trustees of the Beach Haven First Aid Squad. And I will deliver a hard copy of this to you, Sherry. Thank you.
Yes. Deb,
Thank
if you guys are already conducting them through McNeil and JDP, that's perfect. What you can do is just continue to do that and then just provide on the letterhead from the squad that the checks have been completed and that they were sufficient, and that's all we need.
Well, and that would be fine with us, but we, in 82 years of us operating for the borough and Long Beach Township and Ship Bottom, we covered 10 of the 18 miles of island. We have never had to submit our list of new members after being vetted and having criminal history background checks and physical exams and all that. We are quite stringent in our requirements for new members, not to mention we need to see their credentials for their training, and we operate under state statutes. But we have no reason to submit a list of eligible new members to the Borough of Beach Haven for approval. We've done this for 82 years.
Unfortunately, we are under new rules and regulations under the sexual abuse of minors. There are some new rules and regulations. The cost of insurance for everyone is going through the roof because of new legislation. And unfortunately, we have to comply, and we're trying to work with you to do that.
Well, I would like to see what you have that requires us to get approval through the borough after already paying at our expense. We don't charge the borough for criminal history and motor vehicle background checks. We do this at our expense through our insurance company. So once we vet a person, we certainly do not want to answer first aid calls or work with other members who have any type of criminal history record or motor vehicle record that would jeopardize the safety of any of us, whether it's our patients or each other. So I don't know why we need the approval of the borough once we have completed this vetting process.
The Ocean County JIF has also vetted some companies that would provide this service to their participants for free. So if you'd like to not have that financial burden, we would be more than willing to have you work with the Ocean County JIF to utilize their contractors that do the same background check at no cost. So that is available as well, because it is a mandate and the JIF is requiring it. So they're offering these services free of charge.
All right, well, our captain and our president of the squad is online, and we will discuss this at our next trustees meeting of the Beach Haven First Aid Squad. Thank you for allowing me to read that letter.
Okay, thanks, Deb. George Salazar.
Hello, folks. My name is George Salazar, 210 North Delaware Avenue. I am the fire chief here in Beach Haven. So to piggyback here on what Ms. Whitcraft said, for the past 138 years, the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company has provided a service for Beach Haven. And while we understand the need for change as it is required by law, if mayor and council feel that this is something that needs to happen, we would invite them to have a dialogue with us, a sit-down dialogue where we can come up with an amicable solution for both the borough of Beach Haven and the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company, as opposed to this is what we're doing and moving forward from there. So mayor, council, we would happily agree to a sit-down meeting where we can discuss this and hopefully come up with something that's amicable for both of us.
George, is your department already doing background checks and motor vehicle checks as well?
That is correct. We have been doing them faithfully for as long as I've been a member.
Good. And the council already vets and approves your membership by resolution, right?
Correct.
So I don't understand what the issue is. This system is already in place.
Well, the few issues that we have, if you want to address them here, are that the vehicles that we operate are insured by the JIF through Long Beach Township. And there is an ordinance here that you are enacting that is essentially dictating who can and cannot drive the vehicles that the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company owns and is insured through the JIF at Long Beach Township. Some of the other issues that we have is there's no appeals process here for someone, perhaps, that I can give you an example where someone makes a mistake as a young person and then spends many years an upstanding member of society and then can no longer join because they don't fit the requirements here. And I understand that, we can work it on a case-by-case basis, but while there's rational and reasonable people in office now, both on the fire company and the borough, we all know that that's not always the case. So a verbal agreement wouldn't be sufficient in that particular case. It would have to be something that we can do on paper together as the fire company and the borough.
even though the vehicles are insured through the township, it's still covered through the JIF. And since we, the borough, Beach Haven, vets the membership and appoints and approves the membership by resolution, then that would be under our responsibility to make sure that they have been checked. The township would rely on us since they don't vet your membership, we do. And, you know, we unfortunately can't legislate based on all the what ifs. I mean, we could probably what if it to death, but we have to do what's best for right now and our requirement for right now, and we'll certainly take it on a case-by-case basis, but we can continue the dialogue.
That would be my suggestion. Again, like I said, it would be more of an open dialogue between the fire company and the borough to come up with something that would be amicable for both organizations here.
Okay. Thanks, George. Bonnie Lenhart?
Me unmute. Good afternoon. I just tuned in and heard about the
State your
Taylor
name and
Avenue.
address for the record.
Bonnie Lenhard, 115 Fairview Avenue, Beach Haven, New Jersey.
Okay, go ahead.
The Taylor Avenue situation. I agree with Tom that lines don't work. I think driving down Beach Avenue in the summer shows you that. How many injuries have we had up there? Do we have a toll from the police department how many injuries that have occurred up there? I always thought the neighbors had more of a problem with the noise and the kids that were coming in on the trolley. I didn't know we were having injuries from cars backing up. I just think that our parking situation in Beach Haven is so critical that if you take these 18 parking spaces away, they're just going to go somewhere else, and some other areas are going to become a problem. And the reason I think they originally did it at Taylor was because it's one of the widest streets in Beach Haven to provide additional parking. So, and then Jamie, you said something about a class that you took that they talked about this is the way they're doing things now. But I think there's a big difference in a year-round community and Beach Haven. We have to worry about this parking situation and the safety 8 to 10 weeks. After that, the place pretty much empties out. So my only concern is when you're taking 18 away, I think you need to find somewhere else to put 18, because those cars are going to go somewhere. They're going to go to the next street, or they're going to go to the next street, or they're going to go to the next street. They're going to go somewhere. So, and I'm totally against painted lines. I don't think they do any good at all. I personally like sidewalks. I realize that a lot of those houses have curb cuts, but you can walk on them. We have sidewalks on both sides of the street where we live now, and people come up the street and walk, and people also walk on the sidewalks. So it's all a personal thing whether the parents say get on the sidewalk or not. And you can't control that. But I'm very concerned about taking away 18 parking spaces in Beach Haven. I mean, every single problem that comes to the land use board, parking comes up. And we all know there's no parking in Beach Haven. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Bonnie. Any other members of the public like to be heard?
Right.
Who's that? Is someone speaking?
Oh.
Jen Tomlinson?
Hi, yes, I'm just wondering, can you
Can you
explain
just
the
state your name and address for the record,
Oh,
please?
sure. Jen Tomlinson, 306 South Bay Avenue, Beach Haven.
Okay, go ahead.
Can maybe you explain the benefit or the idea behind locking the courts from 12 to 4? It was kind of promoted as a, you know, grandparents and kids, everybody can play. And we know it's very busy during those hours. Like I went and learned in an off hour last year, just with a friend to learn how to play. What is the benefit? I mean, of locking them from 12 to 4?
To give the neighbors a break.
Okay, so is there kind of like beginner time that people can learn?
There's a session from 8 to 10, and there's a session from 10 to 12, and then there's a session from 4 to 8. And it can all be used for beginner learning.
Okay.
Any other member of the public like to speak? Deb, I'm just making sure I get everyone else before I let you go, okay? Anyone else? Go ahead, Deb.
All right, sorry, I wasn't going to say anything, but Bonnie, our chair lady of the land use board, she brought up the issue of parking. We know that for 10 weeks out of every summer, it's a nightmare here, not just in Beach Haven, but the entire island. You mentioned that in the one ordinance about changing on Dock Road where it butts up to West Avenue, we're losing 5 parking spaces there. There used to be public parking places right in front of Parker's. And although you didn't mention it, I know that the reason we're losing it is because Parker's, or Bird and Betty's rather, expanded their sidewalk after meeting with our borough engineer, and they had to take a portion of Dock Road in order to make their sidewalk compatible with ADA standards, et cetera.
We actually aren't going to lose those spots, Deb. We're just shifting them down toward the west.
Yeah, but where exactly, Sherry? I mean, I rent a boat slip there every year. Where to the west? There's already parking in front of the boat slips. So where are those? It's not just those 5 parking spaces I'm speaking of, but there are 3 parking spaces also eliminated.
No, those will remain.
Between 2nd Street and Dock Road, where
Yes.
that sidewalk is being expanded.
Those will remain.
All right, you understand that by them remaining, although they're going to be further west, you've got parking places there facing the bay at where the public restrooms are. And I don't know that you have enough width there for 2-way traffic.
Mhm.
Has that been looked at, that there's enough?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're losing those 5 parking spaces.
No, they will be just shifted to the west.
But there's already.
So in other words,
There's already parking there.
where there was never parallel parking at the bulkhead, now there will be parallel parking at the bulkhead, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Well, then you lose the angle parking in front of the slips.
But no, I don't think we had it. We didn't have angle parking in front of the slips.
No.
Um,
Okay,
all right, but you're positive that we're not losing any parking spaces.
positive.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Any other member of the public like to speak? Seeing none, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to close public comment and we will move on to final remarks from council. Dan, would you like to kick it off?
I got
Dan?
muted. Yeah, sorry. It's always me first. I don't really have a lot to say, other than the fact that I'm very happy that it's getting warmer out. Don't need quite so many layers to go out and walk the dog or take the kids out anymore. I thought this was a good meeting. It's given me a lot to think about, and I'm going to leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jamie?
Yes, I really don't have a lot of public comment tonight. I would like to thank Ms. Withcraft for the Beach Haven First Aid Squad and Chief Salazar from the Beach Haven Fire Department for making their comments. And hopefully, we can continue to work with them and make this as easy as possible with the proposed ordinance at hand. So thank you for coming on your own time. And as far as the parking on Taylor Avenue, I tend to disagree with, painted lines. I understand, but I do walk up to the beach every day, and I walk on beach and I run on Atlantic. And I think people do stay in those lines. And if we could get a sidewalk there in the future, that would be fantastic. This is more as a temporary fix for trying to increase the pedestrian safety in that area. But if you have additional recommendations for that area, please email me, and I would be willing definitely to listen to them and bring them to the next council neighborhood committee meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
I just want to thank everyone for sharing their public comment. I do find it interesting regarding this ordinance that we have to do, it sounds like, through the state regulations versus or what EMS and the what the fire chief is also proposing. So, you know, I want to understand that a little bit more. So Mrs. Whitcraft, Chief Salazar, I'd be happy to have conversations about that with Sherry and whoever else would like to join to understand what the concerns even more are and what you want to come to an agreement on. So yeah, so thank you everyone for your time. It's a good meeting.
Okay, thank you. I too, I agree. I mean, I think we all hold our volunteer services in the highest esteem and regard, and I'd be more than happy to meet and see if there is some way we can resolve this, because obviously it's in everybody's best interest to do so. I would like to mention that our Architectural Advisory Committee had our inaugural meeting the other day. And I forgot to mention the last one, we always have a council member present, and Dan has agreed to represent the Borough Council on that committee. Thank you, Dan. I neglected to mention that. My apologies. It was a very productive meeting. I think once we get all the guidelines out, it'll really help the town along. I do believe that. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've been getting questions about the turbines. Yes, we are aware. And the Long Beach Island, all the mayors of Long Beach Island meeting with Congressman Van Drew to discuss the issue on April 8th. And who knows what'll come out of it, but we are absolutely moving forward, trying to do the best for our town. And that's it. Thank you very much. So I guess if we're done with our final remarks, then all that's left is for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
All in
thank you.
favor? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.